It's about the I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Gets the ball, gets back, pulls up for the win. Got it! Detroit basketball. Oh, Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win. Oh! The Lions go for it. The Vikings bring it. The pass is a touchdown to give. Javi Baez homered earlier. First one in the air, deep left field again. Yes, Tigers win! Bobby is unstoppable!
This is BS Sports.
And away we go. Boy, I'm missing that baseball team. I don't know what baseball team I'm seeing right now, but it's definitely not the one where Javi Baez is walking off the Red Sox in the 11th inning. But we'll get to them in just a moment. Welcome in to BS Sports. We have another relatively slow news week, although a little bit of interesting stuff happened with training camp beginning. The Lions are T-minus how many days? 9 days from the Hall of Fame game, first preseason game of the NFL season. And unfortunately, the training camp has not started off in a way that really, what's the word? Inspires a lot of confidence. We'll get into it as well. I don't know what noise I just made with my human body just there, but it was not the noise I wanted to make. We also got a little bit of NBA offseason I want to talk about because there's a team that I think is assembling the Hall of Fame of losers. And I'm looking forward to watching that team, actually, in a way. So we'll get to it. But look, the headliner of the show, I guess typically this time of year you would expect some baseball coverage, which we will get to, of course. But the Lions, unfortunately, were the product of some major news this week, quote unquote major news, major amongst Lions fans. Levi Onwuzurike, second round pick out of the University of Washington, the great Big Ten University, of course, Washington. He tore his ACL. So he's out for the season. Tore it in training camp a couple of days ago. I believe on Sunday was when the news was announced. Awful stuff. Just an awful for him personally, because last year he really had that kind of breakout year of, finally getting to be on the field. He had suffered from some back injuries. I think when he was at Washington, he came in, he just couldn't ever stay healthy. And now Terry ACL. I don't know how much longer he is for this league. There's only so many injuries you can really go through. I imagine if he doesn't sign with Detroit, a team will sign him, but it's unfortunate when you see guys that have a lot of talent and a lot of ability, as we saw much of last year, just can't stay healthy. So, look, he wasn't the only injury news, though. You had Ennis Rakestraw get a chest contusion, which is not major, not major at all, but still. You had Ennis Rakestraw, a guy who was hurt all of last year. You really need him to be productive for you, but he was hurt all of last year. And Josh Paschal, another one who was banged up a little bit. Now, look, here's the thing. There's a few takeaways, not a couple. There's more than two. There's a few takeaways that I think that one needs to have in order to be reasonable about this sort of thing. Because the instinct, I think, that a lot of Lions fans or a lot of fans in general, especially if you're already kind of on the side of, oh my gosh, we lost our coordinators, we lost we just lost Levi Onwuzurike, we're not going to have Aleem McNeil, our schedule is way tougher than last year. Like, you're already kind of on the side of, oh boy, we are doomed for regression. Losing Levi Onwuzurike is not good. Now, point number one that I want to make as far as being reasonable here. Losing Levi does not make you better. It makes you worse. Levi Onwuzurike is not some superstar player, but he is a solid depth piece at the very least. I mean, again, he was starting games for you last year. He was a productive player. He made some nice plays. He helped solidify a great run defense that you had last season, despite the fact that you had plenty of injuries with Aleem McNeil going down and Aiden Hutchinson going down. Levi Onwuzurike makes you a better team. And he was a contributor. And of course, you could use him as an extra piece when your next best option on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson is Marcus Davenport. And it's not going to make Aiden Hutchinson's life easier that now he's also down Aleem McNeil. He's also going to be down Levi Onwuzurike. And who knows if Davenport is going to stay healthy, because he really has not been able to. And he certainly didn't stay healthy for you last year. So he's getting another prove-it deal to see if he can stay healthy. On the other hand, as solid as Levi Onwuzurike is, he is not some world record. Okay, like if the defense was totally if the quality of the defense was totally determined and solely determined on whether Levi Onwuzurike was on the field, you had bigger problems. You have to keep in mind, losing Levi does not mean that you lose all of the other guys that are on the team, namely, Aiden Hutchinson, namely, hopefully Marcus Davenport, namely Derek Barnes coming back, DJ Reader. Eventually you'll have Aleem McNeil back, assuming things go well with him. You still got Josh Paschal. I know I mentioned he was being banged up in training again, but nothing severe. Like, you still have a lot of guys. Al-Qadim Muhammad is another guy who is a contributor for you. You have your Tyleik Williams, the guy you just drafted. So you have guys, and it's not as though you're just going to go out there and sign me to be defensive tackle for you. But, of course, any loss to a starter, any loss to any player who is a contributor is a big, misstep. It's not good. Not good for your team. The final point I want to make on this, it is July. Okay? In a sense, I would rather players go down for the season in July than in November. Now, why is that the case? Because now we know, and Brad Holmes knows, and Dan Campbell and Kelvin Shepard and the whole coaching staff knows, we're down Levi Onwuzurike. Who are we going to put in the spots where Levi was to be successful on the defensive side of the ball? Maybe that's Josh Paschal. Maybe that's Broderick Martin, assuming he can, get on the field to begin with. Maybe DJ Reader, despite his age, might have to, push a little bit harder in his role. Maybe it's Tyleik Williams. Okay, it's trial by fire. Let's get you in here, Rook. You're a really solid player for Ohio State. Let's get you to play, some consistent D tackle for you. Maybe that's the case, but and getting it done with right now is best case scenario. And look, any one player that you lose outside of Jared Goff, or I guess just your quarterback, any one player is not the difference between you winning the Super Bowl and not. Okay, like if it was, then your team wasn't very well constructed to begin with. Like, this might seem like sacrilege given the way the season went out last year for them, but the difference between the Eagles winning the Super Bowl last year was not whether or not Saquon Barkley played. I mean, Saquon Barkley played in the Super Bowl, but he didn't have his best game. Now, if they didn't have him the whole year, would they have made the Super Bowl? Would they have been able to beat the Rams? Been able to beat the Commanders? Who knows? But the point is, if they lost Saquon Barkley all at the beginning of last year, it's not like they suddenly become some dog water garbage team, or at least in theory, they shouldn't become some dog water garbage team. And the Lions are no different. Like, you lose Levi Onwuzurike. You got a lot of guys on your defensive side. You have two of the top safeties in the league, and All-Pro Kirby Joseph and could have been All-Pro Brian Branch. You have Terrion Arnold, who, despite his struggles last year, I think has a lot of potential. You signed DJ Reed, who is a very solid cornerback for the Jets. You still have DJ Reader, whom I mentioned. You drafted Tyleik Williams, who is a solid player. It's not like it's not like you have a bunch of nobodies, is my point. It's not like he's your best defensive player and now everything kind of falls apart. And even then, you lost Aiden Hutchinson last year, and you still had a lot of a good defensive production from guys who you didn't really expect. All I'm saying is we need to be reasonable, but we also don't need to be overly negative or overly positive. It's wrong to suggest that losing Levi Onwuzurike is nothing. That's just stupid. Of course, it's something. But it's also wrong to suggest that because we lost Levi Onwuzurike, now all of a sudden the Lions are going to go 8-9 and miss the playoffs. That's stupid. Okay? Like, both of those are stupid. And that's all I'm trying to say, is that It's early in the season. Lions have time to adjust. They have time to even make some moves. Maybe this does trigger the talks with Zadarius Smith to kind of speed up here. I know he's not a defensive tackle, but he's a player on the defensive line, basically. And maybe it means Tyleik Williams decides, you know what, this is going to be my opportunity here. Let me show off what I got. Or one of your other draft picks. I believe we took 2 guys in the defensive line, if I'm not mistaken. We took the edge rusher out of Boise State, the Middle Eastern guy. I don't remember his last name. I know it was some Middle Eastern name, but I don't remember what it was. What the heck just happened? Wait, what the heck just happened? Hold on. Anyway, sorry, I'm watching the Tigers game. Anyway, to wrap up this segment, losing Levi sucks, but you got a lot of great players on this team, and you got a great coach, I think, in Calvin Shepard, who can lead them to success. And furthermore, you'll make the adjustment or you won't. In a sense, like, you're either going to become a better team, you're either going to be a good team despite the injuries that you are going to sustain, because every team's going to sustain some injury, or you're not, and you're just not built for it, and that's the reality. So it sucks, but I guess better Levi Onwuzurike than Aiden Hutchinson, I suppose. I hate to say something like that, but it's true, right? I mean, I'm just hoping that the season does not become the defensive injuries that we had last year, because that was just terrible. Like, that was just comedically bad. So, but okay, what the heck? So it was a ground ball. O'Neal Cruz was at second base, and Torkelson just kind of fumbled it, and then O'Neal Cruz just runs in and he's safe. Like, what the heck? Like, I don't know what this team is. This team has not been the same since that Mariners series, and we'll get into it because I don't know. Well, I guess that's a good transition to the second segment here. So baseball's back. All-Star break is over. It was fun. The NL finally won the All-Star game. Big dumper, Cal Raleigh won the home run derby. Good for him. First catcher to ever win the home run derby, which is crazy. I couldn't think immediately of a catcher who did win before. I don't know. The only one that came to mind was maybe like Pudge Rodriguez. But no, first catcher to win at Cal Raleigh. So congratulations to him and to the Seattle Mariners as well. But the Tigers have really struggled these last 3 or so series. So first, obviously, they get swept by the Mariners. And that blows after losing the final game of the 3-game set against the Tampa Bay Rays. So that blows. And then they lose a 3-game set to Texas Rangers. They managed to win on Sunday Night Baseball, Skubal on the mound. But they scored just 2 runs. So it was basically a pitcher's duel. Tarik Skubal is amazing. He's awesome. He pretty much won you that game. And then last night, they get shut out by the Pirates and Paul Skeens. Now, getting shut out by Paul Skeens is no shameful act for sure. But Paul Skeens didn't pitch all 9 innings, to be fair. So you do have to do a little bit, right? Not to mention that the Pirates, despite Paul Skeens being so dominant, I think he still has a losing record. I think he's like 5 wins or something like that, which is crazy. But now, and this game is still not over for sure. Pirates are up 3-0 again. And we're going on to, let's see, what is this? 5 games where the Tigers have scored just 3 total runs. And this is supposed to be a World Series contending team. This is supposed to be a top bullpen, a top pitching staff. Like, this is supposed to be a really good baseball team. But basically, since that Seattle series, it's been awful. And it goes back even further. So the Tigers going into June, and I know this goes back a little bit further, going into June, their bullpen was in the top 5 in MLB and ERA. Since then, it's now bottom 25. So your bullpen has really suffered. So obviously, I think bullpen arms are a major, major concern for this team to be adding at the trade deadline. But even more so now, I'm like, okay, well, now I really feel like we do need another bat in this lineup because, look, obviously we've been out without Kerry Carpenter for some time, but I mean, Riley Green has really struggled these last few weeks or so. Spencer Torkelson, as good as a season as he's had, he's been a little bit quiet. Now, granted, he's got a double today, and I think he had a couple of hits. He might have had a few hits in the series against Texas. But either way, I mean, your guys that you are relying upon, they're just not hitting, and they're not hitting at the opportune times either. So, I mean, just this game, multiple doubles, no runs. So, my thing is, it doesn't help that obviously in the All-Star game, the Tigers didn't do much of a contribution, and in fact, probably helped the American League lose that game. But then following that, you go and you have the worst weekend really in a while where you get shut out, you score 1 run, and then you win 2-1 in a game where Scooble started. So it's like, great. You won when the reigning AL Cy Young winner and probably repeat Cy Young winner is on the mound. I'd expect that because nobody's hitting him, basically. But if you put pretty much anybody else on the mound, whether it's Reese Olson, Casey Mize, or Jack Flaherty, all guys that we kind of need to, be at least decent, at least solid, at least good. And they're just not doing that. I mean, like in Casey Mize case, look, is 3 runs the worst amount of runs given up? No, but he hasn't even pitched 3 innings yet. Jack Flaherty, is 3 runs the worst thing ever? Like the most insurmountable lead? No. But when your offense can't score, unfortunately, you do need Jack Flaherty to be better. And that's not Jack Flaherty's fault. That's the offense's fault. And in my mind now, going into this trade deadline, and maybe my mind will have eased as the week goes by. Maybe we'll come back. We'll win this game against the Pirates. We'll win the 3-game set. We'll go on a run and beat the Blue Jays. We'll beat the Diamondbacks. And then by deadline day on the 31st, I won't even be thinking about needing a bat. But when I see Eugenio Suarez hitting, he's already got over 30 home runs, I got to tell you, that's intriguing. Like, it's a whole lot. Eugenio Suarez looks a whole lot better in this lineup than Matt Vierling. I'll tell you that much. Or Parker Meadows, 2 guys who were not playing for much of the season at the start, and since coming up, might as well not be playing because they're both batting below the Mendoza line, despite the fact that Vierling had a great game on Sunday. You just need to be better, ultimately. And I know that goes without saying, but look, a look ahead here at the schedule just for the rest of the month. Obviously, we already mentioned you got the 2 more, including this game, you got 2 more games against the Pirates. You got a 4-game set against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays who are in first place in their division. Diamondbacks who are a team that are probably going to be selling, but if you give them life, maybe that gets you out of the Eugenio Suarez sweepstakes. But if you can just bury them, if you can just sweep the Diamondbacks and suck all the life out of them, not that GMs are just so flippant that, oh, okay, we lose a series right before the trade deadline. Now we're going to sell. But it might push them a little bit more than they would have been willing to go, right? And look, the Tigers the Tigers schedule the rest of the way, it was ranked as one of the, at least by winning percentage, and obviously that's not a full stat because winning percentages change. It was one of the lower ones left. And then a part of that is because the AL Central is not very good this year. So when you have to play teams like the Royals and the Twins, those are 2 teams that are below 500. But you still got games on the road against the Phillies. You still got games on the road against the Yankees and Cleveland at the end of the season, and Boston as well. Those are 2 teams you still got to play on the road. You got to play the Mets at home. Okay, you got to play, I was going to say the Marlins, but they're not very good this year. But you got to play some teams down the stretch. And if you're not even beating, the Rangers of the world, if you're not even beating the Pirates of the world, well, then in what sense are you really an AL contender? And that's not to say that everything is falling and that this team is totally fake. I don't think that. But they need to get it together. And maybe that spark can be you go out and you trade for Eugenio Suarez, or you go out and you trade for David Bednar. Speaking of the Pirates, right? You go out and you trade for an elite bullpen arm, or maybe you go out and you trade for a solid starting pitcher. I don't know who that would be specifically, but I feel like based on the just quietness this team has had, based on the team's lack of success since the All-Star break, they need a little bit of a wake-up call. And Scott Harris, he's got the keys to turning on that car and waking this team up. So, yeah, I would like to see an aggressive trade deadline, especially if they continue to kind of flounder here. I mean, I guess regardless, I wouldn't mind an aggressive trade deadline because I'd like to win the World Series in my life. That would be nice. Well, I guess I wouldn't win it. I'd like my team to win the World Series one time in my life. That would be nice. By the way, it should be noted that, of course, the infamous, well, maybe not infamous, but last World Series team the Tigers had in 1984 started like 40-10 or something like that. And then we're basically 500 down the stretch, and they ended up winning the World Series. So maybe maybe it can be a little, I don't know. It can vary, you don't necessarily, sometimes this is just, it is kind of how you finish, not necessarily how you start or how it goes in the meantime. But still, I would like to, have a World Series in my lifetime. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, they're killing me too. We just talked about it. You know what I don't need, Detroit fan? I don't need more at-bats from Trey Sweeney or Jake Rogers or Matt Vierling. I think I'm good. I would maybe the real deadline moves are the moves where it's not so much that you're getting a superstar, but you're getting players who are better than those guys. Yeah, this is a good point. They had a fall off, which cost them the Central, but I don't want. Yeah, right, exactly. Look, it's fair to point out that it is July and you still got multiple months of baseball. There's going to be trades that the Tigers. I would be. You would see angry Mike if we do absolutely nothing. Like if we do absolutely nothing, I am gonna be furious because it'd be one thing if they did okay, if their only move was we're gonna go out and we're gonna get a starting pitcher. I mean, okay, it's not. I'm not in love with it, but at least you did something. If you do not if you don't even acknowledge the fact that you can get better, especially when your team is floundering right now, that's I would not. I don't know how I'd be able to deal with that emotionally. And I don't know what Riley Green okay, I love Riley Green. He's had a great season. He's having a career year. He needs to stop striking out. He is just swinging at everything that is coming near him. I mean, right now he's in an 0-2 hole. We just got the leadoff man on. This is our chance to get a bit of a rally here on Mitch Keller, and there's another strikeout. It's come on. When you get your leadoff guy on, the last thing I want to see is a 3-pitch strikeout. At least work him a little bit. At least make it a full count and you get beat on a fastball or something. Ay. Watch. Well, as I say this, Torkelson would probably hit a bomb or something. That as I'm whining about the offense being terrible. Torkelson's got one of the few hits in this game. But the thing is, this game could be 3-2 if we had hitters that could hit with runners in scoring position, because you had Glaber get on a double to start the game. You had Torkelson lead off with a double and only move over to third. Look, I understand good teams lose series to bad teams. I'd be shocked if it only took Vierling and Sweeney. I don't think that. I think you're going to have to give them some prospect or two. But if you could do Vierling, Sweeney, this is ideal in my mind. Vierling, Sweeney, Jace Young, and I don't know. Let me actually look at our farm system. I see. Where are prospects? Top 30 prospects. Here we go. Oh, there you go. Torkelson had a double. Look at that. As I said it. Oh no, it's just a single. Never mind. Thought it was a double. Okay. Well, the guys that are basically off the list, I'd say McGonigal, Clark. I mean, you just drafted Rayner, but I actually wouldn't have a problem with them getting rid of Rayner. Just given the fact that you already have Kevin McGonigal and he's higher ranked in your prospect pool. Maybe how about you do this? You do Sweeney, Vierling, Jace Young, and we got to give him a pitcher, right? I guess Troy Melton is about to make his debut. Maybe we give him Troy Melton. What do you think? He's in our top 10, but Rogers we need to pick up. Rogers we need to keep since who else is our backup catcher? Thomas Nito. Yeah, but I mean his bat is just so bad, man. I mean, like he's just a black hole. Like it'd be one thing if he was at least like 200. He's batting like 150. He's terrible at the plate. And I understand his defense is valuable, but man. Yeah, I think if the package was Trey Sweeney, Matt Vierling, Bryce Rayner, and Troy Melton for Eugenio Suarez, that might seem like an overpay. But I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, we gave up Troy Melton. I wouldn't even be mad if we gave up Bryce Rayner. Like, frankly, I mean, the reason I say that is because we have Kevin McGonigal. And if we think Kevin McGonigal is better than Rayner, which or at the very least, he's going to be here sooner than Rayner, then I might as well trade Rayner to get a guy right now. That's just my opinion. People can disagree on this. I'm not saying you're stupid if you don't want to do that. I'm just saying if that was the offer and that went through, I'm good with it. Got to finish the season with Roger. We could sign a placeholder catcher too for next season. How far away is Tyrone Lorenzo? 2026? Okay, we could get Tyrone Lorenzo by next year. So, maybe we don't. Maybe we could just, maybe we hold on to Rogers, and then if Lorenzo really tears it up, we can just have a tandem of Lorenzo and Dingler. That could work. And Briseño apparently is listed as a catcher as well, but he's not going to be here for a while anyway. Maybe we give him Ty Madden. Remember Ty Madden? Remember him? Ish. Where's Jace Young? We can give him Jace Young. Is Jace Young even listed on here? He might not be a prospect anymore. Ish. That's tough. Are they reviewing whether he was out? He's definitely safe. I don't know what they're looking at. Looks pretty clear to me. Yeah, he touches the bag right there. I mean, he touches the front of it. Does he not? It looks like he touches it to me. Oh my gosh. Are we really doing this? It's a sack fly. We can't even sack fly. I would trade Jace Young. Frankly, I would trade Jace Young for anybody. Maybe not anybody. For a good player right now, yes. Because despite the fact that all Jace Young did in the minor leagues was hit, when he came up in the major leagues, he's tough. He's terrible. He sucks. Like, I can't believe they're looking at this. The call on the field is safe, so I don't see anything that's overturning that. Are they really looking at this? Okay, here's a good angle. Oh no, he never touched the bag, or he never touched the plate. Oh no, he never touches the plate. He's out. That angle killed it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You can't even sack fly right? Are you serious? We can't even get a sack fly right. That's terrible, man. That is so bad. Why do we have two? What the heck, Vandal? Who can play third? Eugenio. Gino can play third. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. They're certainly slumping right now, Zing Dad. They're certainly going through it, which I guess is to be expected at some point in the year, but I suppose I would rather them do this against teams like the Phillies or the Blue Jays and not against teams like the Pirates, who are not good. But hey, if this motivates Scott Harris to be more and more aggressive at the trade deadline, I'll take it. See, Parker, I don't know. I mean, Parker is useful on the base pads when he gets on, and he's good defensively, but offensively, he's been just awful. I'd rather Wenzel Perez as a hitter and an outfielder than Parker Meadows right now. Either, like, we definitely are in need of some sort of shakeup. Like, we need something to spark this team, because right now, this team is in a losing skid where it just feels like you're never going to win another series again. And that's how it feels when you're in these skids. It feels like you're never going to win again. But you will eventually. But what I don't want is for us to squander a AL Central title and, home field advantage in the divisional round, potentially. Well, okay. Look, I don't usually go ahead series to series. They're hot right now, the Blue Jays are, and we're cold, but very well that could mean that by the time that they get here this weekend, that we'll be hot and they'll be, or they'll have cooled off and we'll have started to warm up. I'm not saying I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not really ready to say like we're just gonna get destroyed to the Blue Jays. We could if we play like this, we will. But series to series, you can't really tell. And that's true. Kerry Carpenter does start rehab today, so hoping for him to do something for us. Although even him, like, he can't hit lefties. And not he can't hit lefties like he is incapable of hitting lefties. I'm sure he maybe if you gave him enough at bats he might be. But I mean, like, they will not let him hit lefties. Like, for whatever, probably because they know something that he cannot hit lefties. So if you're up against a lefty, he's just out of the lineup, and then you're basically in the same problem you were before. Now, granted, more righties than lefties, so not a huge issue, but still. And it does make your lineup better. You don't have to start Kerry, or you don't have to start Kerry. You don't have to start Matt Vierling. You can start Kerry Carpenter. But right now, we're looking at the Tigers being the lowest runs scored by a team. Is that a fair ball? Yeah, that's a fair ball. Lowest runs scored by a team since the All-Star break. I believe Luis Robert has more runs scored than the Tigers as a team do since the All-Star break. So that's not good. No. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I get the joke, but no, we're not selling. I don't even know why. Like, but who would we sell? Riley Green, and then just bring up the kids. No, I mean, like I said, they're going to be buyers. It seems to me all indications are that they're going to be buyers. I've seen reports from either The Athletic or just other publications of interest in guys. It's still relatively early before you start seeing it, but I guess Torres. No, I don't want to trade Gleyber Torres. He's been really good for us. Not going to re-sign him, but he's been good for us this year at least. But if you got Suarez, would that automatically make us a lot better? Yeah, I think it would make us a lot better, actually. It wouldn't make us like the greatest team ever. But it would make us a whole lot better. Because instead of having to play, and I say this with nothing but admiration for the play he's brought, if you don't have to play Zach McKinstry every day at third base, then it's a little bit better. No disrespect to All-Star Zach McKinstry. McKimstry, as they call him. So that's the kids are calling him. Although my fear is that we are sort of content with the way in which we're doing it, where we're like, well, we don't want to give up a lot of our guys, and we don't want to just, I don't know, put all our eggs in one basket. Now it's 4-0. Suarez would just be, I think you mean be like everyone else. I don't think so. I mean, At the very least, we wouldn't have to keep him after this year. I did. I saw that Ron Holland made the all summer league second team, which is good. I did. He was one of the guys I said to keep an eye out for to see how he did, and he did really well. He passed in my eyes with flying colors. So yeah, I think he could be a spark for this team offensively. If he can put up the kinds of offensive numbers he put up in the summer league, then we're talking about something really brewing here for the Pistons as far as their scoring goes. It's now 5-0, guys. This is wow. Oh wow. This is that's just bad. Troy Melton, top 10 prospect in our pool, is going to start tomorrow. So welcome to baseball. Welcome to Major Leagues. You're going up against apparently these red hot Pirates. Now, granted, the Pirates did sweep the Mets a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. It's kind of weird. Teams do this sometimes, and I'm not excusing it. I'm just a fact. I mean, the Dodgers are also playing pretty terribly, relatively recently. Sometimes, like, bad teams, they just like get hot in the middle of a, like, this happened with the Tigers too when they were bad. Like, they would just get hot for like one random month, and then go back to being bad and irrelevant. So maybe it's like, okay, Tigers are just they're just bad in July. That's fine. Fine. Just want to move past it. That's what I'm doing. But speaking of the NBA, I actually do want to talk about this because I didn't have a whole lot on this segment, but I did want to briefly mention some of the big NBA offseason news. So first, Damian Lillard's going back to Portland, which I think is very funny because I remember when the Bucks traded for him, and Seth is not here. He's still slaving away at Home Depot and may never actually be free from Home Depot. But he's big Bucks fan. And I remember him being like, oh, wow, we got Dame Lillard, like Dame and Giannis. That's going to be so and it was just terrible. It just didn't work at all. And now he's just right back to Portland. So you know what? Maybe he was always loyal to begin with. He never wanted to play for the Bucks. Maybe that was his plan. But the thing I actually wanted to talk about, this NBA team has assembled the Avengers of mid, the Avengers of players who, when you need them most, they will not appear. When a man has fallen in the river and he's about to drown and you need your superhero, these are not the guys that will show up. They will show up a week later and be like, is he still drowning? And the funeral already happened. The Los Angeles Clippers have brought in Bradley Beal from the Phoenix Suns. I guess the Suns bought out his contract, and the Clippers picked him up. And not to be outdone by a loser formerly playing for the Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul, welcome back to the City of Angels. He is also on the Clippers. And look, Chris Paul at this point he's washed, he's old, so I get it. You know, like he's not going to be able to do much anyway. And at this point, he's just basically a journeyman. I think he's pretty much just trying to do he's trying to help people out in the immaculate grid, which I can appreciate that. However, is this not like the outside of Kawhi Leonard, who actually did win something? He won multiple titles. Outside of him, this team is James Harden, Paul George, Bradley Beal, and Chris Paul. That is the four horsemen of the losing in the playoffs in embarrassing fashion apocalypse. Like, if you want, all they need to do at this point is call up Doc Rivers, bring him back to the Clippers. That's what they like. Pry him out of Milwaukee. I'm sure Seth would really appreciate that. Like, get him to be the head coach of the Clippers, and you got yourself a dynasty of mid. Like, I got to tell you, I am not one of these fans who, believes he knows everything about every other team. I don't watch. The only time I watch the Clippers is when they play the Pistons. I am just going to say this right now as a definitive statement. This team will not win anything. You can go ahead and whatever the odds are of them to win a championship, it doesn't matter. Don't bet it. Just don't. Because in any case, one out of those four guys will not perform for you. Now, Chris Paul, again, old, so we're gonna give him a little bit of an asterisk. Okay, he's played for 3 teams in 3 years, I think. So we're gonna give him a little bit of a break. But Bradley Beal does not show up in the playoffs. He never. I mean, with Washington, he was never playing any meaningful games anyway, so a lot of it was stat padding to begin with. Paul George is, his main claim to fame was that one dunk he had on, I think it was LeBron James or Derrick Rose in Indiana, and that was his Kodak moment, and that was the only time he ever had any moment. Think of Paul. This is Colin Cowherd does this, and I'm not a huge Colin Cowherd fan, but it's like close your eyes right now if you're listening, or whatever. I guess you have to be listening. Close your eyes and think of the Paul George moment. You can't think of it. There is no Paul George moment. There is the Kodak moment, the one that everybody talked, the one where he was in Indy, and I think he dunked on LeBron. I think it was LeBron. I think that's the moment. That's it. That was his the one moment, and that's it. And as far as James Harden, I mean, you can think of all the hundreds of moments where he doesn't show up. You can think of the 9 points in an elimination game with Philadelphia a couple of years ago. You can think of the Nets seasons where he either got hurt or he would just play terribly in the playoffs. You can think of even last year. Last year he had a terrible playoff, despite the fact I think he had one good game or something. Like he had one game where oh, he finally showed up in the playoff, and then he just died the rest of the series. And I guess Kawhi Leonard, you can think of plenty of moments with him because he's Kawhi Leonard. He's fantastic. But unfortunately, he doesn't have any legs. And you do need legs to play the game of basketball. This is news to some people, but you do need legs. Namely, it's news to Kawhi Leonard, I guess. I don't even know who their coach is. Who is the coach of the Clippers? Not Doc Rivers. It might as well be. Who is the Clippers coach? Is it Ty Lue? Yeah, it's Ty Lue. Okay. I was gonna slander him, but he did win one title as an interim coach, but he became the full-time coach. I'm just saying. It'd be crazy as if the Tigers came back down 5-0. That would be hype. I only say that because Parker Meadows just got a leadoff walk, but something tells me it's not going to happen. Something tells me. I don't know what it is, but something tells me. It's bad when you can't even get a sacrifice fly run, right? Like that's when it's bad. All right, Javi, buddy, you got that shoulder surgery. It was supposed to fix you, and now you're just back to your old free swinging ways. Stop, okay? I need you to stop. I just want to watch this whole at bat. Okay, there you go. That's a good pitch to take. Outside, a little outside. Not that much outside. So I'm actually surprised he took that. At this point, I might just be in the business of taking pitches. Because a lot of these strikeouts are like pitches out of the zone. Especially if I'm Javi. Okay, there you go. It's a line drive base hit. Okay, all right. Life. We got a little bit of life. 2 guys on, nobody out. Okay. Anyway. Okay. I'm sorry. I missed a couple of these questions here, Detroit fan. Think Bobby Clement and Denise Jenkins could be full-time players this season? Probably not. I'd be surprised I'd certainly be surprised for Clement because he was a little disappointing, I think, in the spring league, in the summer league. Jenkins, maybe if somebody gets hurt, he could be like your first man up, but no, I don't think much. Is that a home run? Life? Wait a minute, life, guys. Jake Rogers, 3-run home run, life. No outs. We just cut the lead to 2. Okay. All right. I like how I say that as I was slandering Jake Rogers this whole time. And Jake Rogers goes ahead and hits a 3-run home run. Who are these lovely ladies? Who are those? Oh, are they the woman who got the ball? Okay, a little bit of life. All right. Lanier might want to start him as a 2-way guy. He was not bad, but maybe could be better for him playing the G League and get playing time than be on the bench. Yeah, I could see that. Again, he's probably a depth guy. That's just an out. Okay. I hate that. I hate as soon as you get some runs, you just get a line out on one pitch. I mean, like come on. Win probability jumped 24%. Now 30%, which is not high, but it's 24 percentage points higher, at least. It's got to count for something, right? If we can cut it to 1 before like the 7th inning, I'll have hope. Right now, I'm like, I just saw a little fuzz. Right now, I'm like, okay, it's a little. It gives the Pirates a little bit of antsiness, but I'm not ready to say, okay, we're so back here. But they got a lot of game play. It's hard to come back down 5-0. Would have been nice to not. Would have been nice to have that sacrifice fly run. Could be a 1-run game right now. Anyway, let's at least see the rest of this inning, and then we'll wrap up the show because that's pretty much all I had. Oh, that's a nice play. It's short. Ay. What are you gonna do with that? Whew. Can we get a home run? One more home run? That'd be cool. Who's up? Riley? Wenzel? Okay. Thought it was Riley. Wait, isn't it Riley? No, it's Wenzel. Riley batting cleanup? He must be. All right, Wenzel. Only got 7 home runs. Feels like you should have more. How about this? You get a line drive base hit, and never mind. You just go ahead and... Is that a foul? No, it's out of play. Okay, we're good. Okay. At bat, still alive. All right. 0-1. Perez 0 for 1. He got a walk, I believe. He hit the ball hard, I think, his first time up, but right into the glove of a fielder. Hey, meanwhile, the Mets are down 1-0 to the Angels. So, maybe it is just like all the good teams are losing right now. Maybe that's what's going on. I'm trying to see if there's any other scores that are... I'm looking at the little FanDuel scoreboard thing. Okay. That's a nice piece of hitting right to the glove. Okay. All right. Well, Tigers are down 2 runs still. So with that, I pretty much am done. I got nothing more to say. Next week, show note. Thursday night football, Hall of Fame game. We will be live reacting. We will be back to the play-by-play days. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be the worst football game I will ever have the displeasure of watching, but we'll watch it together and we'll grow, and it'll be emotional because the Lions have never played a Hall of Fame game before, so that'll be fun. We'll grow, we'll have fun, it'll be emotional. I said those words before, but I'm going to say them again. I do appreciate everybody for stopping by, listening in. Please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button. It does help me out a lot. I'd like to get to 400 subscribers by the end of the calendar year, guys. Come on now. Let's spread the show. Let's spread it. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're just watching and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I got nothing else to say. We'll be back next week. Preseason will start next week as well. Let's keep an eye out for that. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. See ya. Have a good night. See ya. Goodbye. See you later.